Hello, I am Danielle, and this is a presentation of chapter 19, and we're going to talk about inject learning into daily work. So we're going to cover the following topics. I'm going to cover these topics: establish a just learning culture, schedule a blameless post-mortem meeting after accidents occur, and publish our postmortem as widely as possible, and then we define failure as encourage calculated risk taking. This chapter we're going to talk about how failures are so important to learning in the company, and especially big companies, they will fail in order to grow and improve. So first of all, we're going to we're going to talk about establishing a just learning culture. It is very, very important to establish this culture, and the very first point we should not do, the things that we should avoid doing, is naming, blaming, and shaming. Every time someone makes a mistake, maybe the natural reaction is to try to identify who did it, then blame that person and do something to shame that person. And by doing so, we kind of would make people try not to make mistakes, and when they do, they are basically try to hide, or they'll try not to show what happened and try to fix that before someone come to know it. So it is extremely important to avoid naming, blaming, and shaming, even though we have to know who. It's important to identify the person involved with that problem, but not to punish, instead to try to see what happened. Then we have to maximize opportunities for organizational learning, then turn information into knowledge, then create a blameless post-mortem and controlled introduction of failures. Um, every mistake, there's always something to learn with every mistake. That's the point here. And if something went wrong, it's because something in the process is not correct, or something in the if there's room for personal decisions, then what made that person take a wrong decision? And that's something that should be learned not only by the person who made the mistake, but by the whole company. So it's very, very important. Alright, so let's move on. Schedule blameless post-mortem meetings after accident occurs. Post-mortem is a type of mistake evaluation that kind of see how the problem happened. So when we schedule a blameless post-mortem meeting, we have to do this as soon as possible. First of all, before the 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 person who got the people or the person who got involved forget about the reasons why that happened, or they cannot remember anymore in details what happened. So the details here are very important. So then we construct a timeline. We empower engineers to work on that, and then we enable and encourage people to do and make mistakes, to be the experts who educated the rest of the organization on how not to make them in the future. We accept that there is always a discretionary space where humans can decide to take action or not, and that the judgment of those decisions lies on hindsight. And that we propose countermeasures. If we don't do that, then that problem will happen over and over again. So it's very, very important to propose countermeasures, to set a path to follow when something went wrong, and what we're going to do to not incur in that same mistake again. In these post measures, modern meetings, there are some people that have to be involved in order to make that knowledge, make that mistake, turn that mistake into learning. So the stakeholders are the people involved in the decisions that may have contributed to the problem, the people who identify the problem, those who identify the problem, the people who respond to the problem, the people who diagnose the problem, the people who were affected by the problem, anyone else who is interested in attending the meeting. So everyone who would like to be there would be welcome once it's a meeting that is going to provide a lot of knowledge. Then after we have this meeting, after identifying, after proposing the countermeasures, after doing all of that, it's extremely important to publish these these meeting results. Those involved, actually everyone in the company should know what happened, and even more important, they have to know what has to be done to not happen again. So what is what can we take out, what we can learn from that experience, what we can learn from that mistake? That has to be known. So a tool was created called Morgi that supports and helps to record the things that were decided in that meeting. There are some steps. First of all, whether the problem was due to the schedule or an unscheduled incident. The postmortem owner, it also evaluates relevant IRC chat logs, relevant GIRA tickets, and links to customer forum posts. And the most important thing, in my opinion, in this chapter is about redefining failure and encourage calculated risk-taking. There's always that feeling that failing, it's something that should not occur. It's something that has to be avoided. And if someone fails, then this person should be punished, it should be fired or anything like that. But we have to change that concept. We have to know that in DevOps organizations, they will fail, and that's something that is going to happen. It's not something that like, oh, it's okay. It's something that the organization needs. It has to fail, but it has to fail. And when that happens, it should not be just forgotten. We should try to get the most from that experience. We have to learn the most from that experience. So that's the point. And the main idea is that we have to redefine the concept of failure if we want to create a culture of learning. When treated properly, errors that are inherited in complex systems can create a dynamic learning environment where all of the shareholders feel safe enough to come forward with ideas and observations, and where groups rebound more readily from projects that don't perform as expected. So thank you so much.